welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein, and thank y'all for joining me today as we go ahead and read April 2nd's reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. I'm really looking forward to today's follow-up. Yesterday, April 1st, it was really a reading that was engaging for me in a lot of ways, and it's just a really solid reminder of what my responsibilities are. And it's my responsibility to live a good and righteous life and to allow life to unfold for me in the direction that I'm putting my effort and my energy. And it's a pretty amazing thing to remember. And I was really grateful for yesterday's reading, that's for sure. So I'm looking forward to today's. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me as always. This will be the first time I read the meditation from James Allen for today. Will be on this podcast, and so you get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. James Allen's Daily Meditation for April 2nd. Man is, and as he thinks, so he is. Man's life is actual. His thoughts are actual. His deeds are actual. To occupy yourselves with the investigation of things that are is the way of wisdom. Man, considered as above, beyond, and separate from mind and thought, is speculative, not actual. And to occupy ourselves with the study of things that are not is the way of folly. Man cannot be separated from his mind. His life cannot be separated from his thoughts. Mind, thought, and life are inseparable as light, radiance, and color. The facts are all sufficient and contain within themselves the groundwork of all knowledge concerning them. To live is to think and act, and to think and act is to change. Wow. A lot to unpack on this one today. I like the reference he's having here to what this actually is about, right? Like to what we're actually, what he considers to be, maybe is a better way to say it, the things that are to be considered. Live here, live now. Look at what you do now. Look at how you think now. Don't speculate, don't interpret, and don't think past the things that are not actual, I think is what he's coming at here. But let's go ahead and tear this one apart a little bit. I'm really excited to do this. The first and opening line is pretty direct, which I like, and also very obvious now, and I love it. So man is, and as he thinks, so he is. So man is, we are. We like, simply put, I know it sounds like an unfinished sentence, but there's a semicolon. It's man is. We exist. We are present. We are real. And as he thinks, so he is. So we exist, and our existence and our perception of ourselves and our perception of everything and how we interact with the world comes down to how we think. It comes down to the thoughts that we are allowing to rule our lives. All right, now the main part of this. Man's life is actual. His thoughts are actual. His deeds are actual. So, these are real things. That's what we're going to be talking about here. My life is the real life that I am living right now. My thoughts are the actual thoughts that I'm thinking right now. My deeds are the actions that I'm actually taking right now. Not the ones I hope to take in the future, not the ones that I have taken in the past. Not the life that I have lived in the past, not the life I hope to live in the future. My life is now, my thoughts are now, my deeds are now. That's what I'm actually doing, actually thinking, and actually living. And sometimes we disconnect from that. He goes on to say, to occupy ourselves with the investigation of things that are is the way of wisdom. Another seemingly obvious statement, right? Or the way it strikes me, it's a very obvious statement, but I was one that would love to be lost to delusion. I was one that would love to be lost to fantasy and daydream. Projection of how it could be or how it should be. How it could have been or how it should have been. Right? Or how it was and how I was wronged. Or how it was what I should have done. I'm anywhere but here looking now at what I'm doing. That's the sad truth. That's how I lived for a very, very long time. So to occupy ourselves with the investigations of things that are. He's talking about our lives, our thoughts, and our deeds. Is the way of wisdom. That is the way of wisdom. Man, considered as above, beyond, and separate from mind and thought, is speculative and not actual. And to occupy ourselves with the study of things that are not is the way of folly. That's what I was just talking about, right? That's what I was investigating. That's what I was constantly rehashing and replaying in my mind. Man is considered above and beyond and separate from. Man, considered as above, beyond, and separate from mind and thought, is speculative and not actual. And to occupy ourselves with the study of things that are not is a way of folly. So any real considerations outside of what's actually happening is really just a waste of time. He's saying here, when we're talking about change, when we're talking about spiritual living, when we're talking about pursuing this pathway, thinking about how we should be or how we want to be or how it should have been, and all those things I was talking about earlier, it's a waste of time. It's energy misspent. Usually, in my experience, a lot of that's usually off resentment and self-pity. But the reality of it is, it's a waste of our time. We get the opportunity today to actually take a look at our direct actions. We get the opportunity today to take a look at our immediate circumstances and change, grow, adapt, and be different and grow from this immediate point forward and take actual actions to change and have that growth. It's immensely powerful statement, immensely powerful place to be when you can look directly at what you're doing right now. That's pretty amazing. And to consider I love how he says folly. It's man as considered as above, beyond, or separate from mind and thought. That is what we are. Mind and thought is speculative and not actual. Like the thoughts, the actions all come from the mind. Whether we're aware of it or not, it all comes from the mind. Pretty amazing thing to think about. And to try to separate from that and say, and to live in a speculative area of things. is pretty much a waste of time. That's what he's saying here. It's a delay, usually, from my own personal experience. I like to procrastinate when I think about those things. And it makes me feel justified in my behaviors a lot of times. So I really like that he calls us out for that. But me specifically, I relate to it quite a bit. He goes on to say, man cannot be separated from his mind. His life cannot be separated from his thoughts. Oh, that's the end of that statement. Let me read it again. Man cannot be separated from his mind. His life cannot be separated from his thoughts. Because the man is made in the mind, really. The character is made in the mind. Our life is born of our thoughts. That's the one and the same. Our life is made of results from our character. Does it not? And to try to separate these things is folly. A man cannot be separated from his mind. His life cannot be separated from his thoughts. It's so obviously true. But we forget it. We try to change the outside world instead of looking at where our circumstances truly came from. Mind, thought, and life are as inseparable as light, radiance, and color. They are one and the same. They are one and the same. They are all interconnected and the consequences or the results that happen in our life come from our mind and our thoughts. You can't really pull that apart. Because even eventually, if you make the conscious effort to change your behaviors, if you don't change your mind and then change your thoughts, and change your perspective, you're going to end up in the same situation. You're going to have that same behavior occur again that you're trying to stop or modify. There's a lot of work that goes into these things. A lot of work that goes into these things. But it's worth it because once you do the work, the maintenance of the work is much easier. And the happiness and the contentment with life, actually, is what I should really be talking about. Goes beyond anything that you would expect to be possible. The facts are all sufficient and contain within themselves the groundwork of all knowledge concerning them. Everything we need to know is coming from our actions and are in our thoughts. We can take it. If we take an honest look, it tells us what we believe. If we take an honest look, it tells us what our intentions are. All the information we need for growth and change is really sitting right here in front of us. But yet we ignore it, and we speculate, and we live in fantasy or depression and reruns of the past. Or a grandiose delusional future. Anything to escape right now, when right now is what we really need to be focusing on. It was always the last thing I went to, was the present moment, when I was out there living my old way of life. So he ends this one with, to live is to think and to act, and to think and act is to change. What a statement that is. To live is to think and act. To think and act is to change. That's where it all starts, right? If you want a different way of life, you're going to have to change what you think and act. If you keep doing what you've always done, they say, you'll get what you've always got. And that's been my experience. Unfortunately, that has been my experience. So today, I know that right now in this present moment is where all change begins. All change is sustained and life is modified. If I want to grow, I have to be here today. And that's pretty empowering, honestly. So, all right. Well, thank y'all. I'll wrap it up there. Thank you for jumping on again today. I really appreciate it. And remember, everything you need to get started on a different way of living, you have. What a powerful thought that is. So, I will look forward till tomorrow's, and we'll go from there. So, until next time, thanks.